So you think you got what it takes to be a badass protection warrior, huh? You want to smash your shield so hard it leaves permanent scars on your enemy's skull? You want to stomp the ground so fiercely that it shakes the heavens and rains down thunder on anyone in your way? Well, you've come to the right place, you meat-headed rage-fueled maniac. Let's turn you into a walking fortress that leaves nothing but rubble in its wake. Hello, my name is Brink, and welcome to my No Bullshit Beginner Tank Guide series. In this series, I will break down all tank classes and then discuss all the essentials, like stats, rotations, cooldowns, and talents without unnecessary details. Today we're diving into one of my favorite tanks, the Protection Warrior. I will also talk about hero talents, but for this guide, I will mainly focus on the Mountain Fane, as this tree is by far used the most. If and when Colossus becomes more viable, I do plan making a separate video on these hero talents. Okay, let's kick off with the stat priority. For Protection Warriors, strength is survival, thanks to Vanguard. Every point of strength directly boosts your armor, enhancing your resilience. This added armor also amplifies the effectiveness of your Ignore Pain, making strength your most essential stat. The more strength you stack through higher item level, the better. Okay, let's explain the secondary stats. Haste for faster attack speed and faster ability recharge. Crit boost damage and your parry chance. Versatility for increased damage, healing, and reduced damage taken. Your mastery increases critical block chance and attack power. If you're just starting, prioritize higher item level over specific secondary stats. Always prioritize higher item level. The tier set bonus, the 2 set. When your shield slam cooldown is reset by strategist, you gain expert strategist, increasing the damage of your shield slam by 5% and reducing all damage taken by 3% for 6 seconds. 4 set bonus. When your shield slam crits, it increases the damage dealt by your thunderclap and revenge by 10% for 8 seconds. Abilities. So a warrior is all about rage. You generate rage and you spend rage. Let's start with your offensive abilities. Shield Slam, your main offensive skill. Keep this up as much as possible. It generates 15 rage. Thunderclap, blast all enemies within 8 yards for an X amount of physical damage, and it reduces their movement speed by 20% for 10 seconds. This ability does lower damage beyond 5 targets, and it also generates 5 rage. Revenge, swing a wide arc, dealing an X amount of physical damage to enemies in front of you. This ability also does lower damage beyond 5 targets. When you successfully dodge or parry, you have a chance to make your next revenge cost no rage. This proc is really nice to have, as revenge is very costly and it will cost you 20 rage. Defensive abilities. Shield Block. This is your primary defensive skill. A very powerful damage mitigation while active. Keep this up as much as possible. Shield Wall. Reduce the damage you take for 40% for 8 seconds. Last Stand. Increase your max health by 30% for 15 seconds. And it heals you for that amount. Impending Victory. Attack the target for an X amount of damage and it heals you for 20% of the maximum health on a 25-second cooldown. Defensive Stance. You want to be in defensive stance while tanking, as it reduces all physical damage you take by 16% and all magic damage by 6%. Offensive cooldowns. Could argue that Ravager and Champion Spear are also offensive cooldowns, as they are both on a 1.5 minute cooldown. I for one don't use Ravager that much, as it's yet another button to press, and warriors already have so many of them. I know I'm gonna get slack for this from the warrior community, but as a beginner tank, these 2 cooldowns are in my opinion not as important. But still, there you have it, they exist and you can use them. Avatar. Transform into a Colossus for 20 seconds, causing you to deal 20% increased damage, and it removes all snares. Up next, utilities. Battle Shout. Excellent attack power buff for your group. Charge. Charging into an enemy. This will provide you with more mobility. All our warriors have it and it's great. Pummel. This is your interrupt on a 14-second cooldown. Taunt. Taunt your enemies. Very basic. Challenging Shout. This is your AoE taunt. Very good to have if you're losing threat on a big pack. Rallying Cry. Grant all people in your group to get 10% more health. Shockwave. Send a wave as a frontal does X amount of damage and it stuns all the enemies within 10 yards for 2 seconds. Then you have Hamstring, a single target slow. Occasionally useful but not very often. Talent builds. I will put up 2 talent builds on the screen, one for raiding and one for Mythic Plus. You will find the import link in the description underneath this video. I'll also be showing you a talent heat map from Archon, which highlights the most popular talent choices and those that you can consider swapping out. I won't be going over every basic talent, those have been around for a while now. However, I do recommend taking some time to review them, if you haven't already. Understanding what each talent does is crucial. Knowing how your class works will make you a stronger player, giving you an edge in any situation. I will give you an example. So just a few talents that I want to touch base on are the following. Demo Shout. This talent reduces the damage you take from your enemies by 25% for 8 seconds. Now let's look at Booming Voice. Booming Voice says, Demo Shout also generates 30 rage and it increases the damage you deal to affected targets by 20%. So now you know that you can generate 30 rage by using a defensive ability. This is really good to know if you're getting energy starved in certain situations. I spoke earlier about defensive abilities, like Shield Wall, one of your biggest defensive cooldowns in your kit. The talent, Defender of Ages, will provide Shield Wall with 1 additional charge, and its cooldown is reduced by 60 seconds. This will bring the 3.5 minute cooldown down to 2.5 minutes. Don't sleep on these charges and make sure you use it going into big packs. Also an honorable mention for Champion's Bulwark. Shield Charge deals 20% increased damage, grants you Shield Block, makes your next revenge cost no rage, and generates an additional 20 rage. These talents are perfect examples to show you how they can impact your gameplay. Hero talents allow deeper customization of the class fantasy, and it enhances your character builds. So just a few talents that I want to touch base on. Lightning Strikes. Thunderclap, Revenge or Execute have a 25% chance to strike an enemy with a lightning bolt, or X amount of damage, and it also generates free rage. These strikes occur 30% more often during Avatar. Flashing Skies. Thunder Blast calls down a lightning strike on an enemy. Forum Smite. Lightning strikes generate free rage, revenge and execute damage increased by 25%. For Mythic Plus we choose the latter. Keep your feet on the ground. I always think of a dwarf saying this. Keep your feet on the ground. Physical damage taken reduced by 2% and Thunder Blast adds another 8% damage reduction. Last but not least, Avatar of the Storm. When using Avatar you get 2 charges of Thunderclap, and it resets the cooldown of Thunderclap. This also ensures it changes these Thunderclaps into Thunder Blast that deals Storm Strike damage. So just to clarify, what I usually do, straight after I pull a pack, you stomp all your Thunderclap charges, this is a huge threat generator, then pop Avatar. This will provide you with 2 new Thunderclap charges. These Thunderclaps will change into a harder hitting version, Thunder Blast, increasing your damage by an insane amount. Now, the fun stuff, our rotation. Single target. Shield block if it's not up, or you are about to cap charges. Ignore pain if you have more than 75 rage and are about to cap on rage. Shield slam, thunderclap. For multiple targets, shield block if it's not up, or you're about to cap on charges. Ignore pain if you have more than 75 rage or about to cap on rage. Thunder blast, shield slam, thunderclap. In Mythic Plus, it's all about the opener, going from trash pack to trash pack. So typically you start with Ravager for some solid AoE damage and a nice burst of rage generation. As an alternative, you can skip Ravager and charge straight in with shield charge. This is all what the warrior is about. And yes, you can also leap into a pack by using heroic leap. Just remember to pop a shield block manually. I prefer shield charge as it gets a free shield block from the talent Champion's Bulwark. You remember, this is the same talent we spoke about earlier. You close the distance and engage with a free defensive and a free revenge with 20 rage bonus. So now your rage is fueling and you are ready to do damage. What do? Thunderclap. Now it's on a 5-second cooldown. Next you pop Avatar. This will now boost your damage for 20 seconds and it will change Thunderclap into Thunder Blast, losing the cooldown. So you Thunder Blast. Then Demo Shout and Shield Block. Shield Block is easy to use as it's instant and it's off the global cooldown. By this time you should probably have a Shield Slam proc. So you want to use Shield Slam, and you want to use it when it comes off cooldown, or when it procs. Thunder Blast to do more AoE damage, and Shield Block to keep up your active mitigation. And remember, it also boosts your Shield Slam damage by 30%. So there is a priority order, Shield Block, then Shield Slam. Use Revenge as a filler, and when it procs. Keep your rage below cap and spending it on Ignore Pain or Revenge as needed. And so much for your opener. Making mistakes is a part of the learning process, but there are mistakes that you can avoid making. Let's discuss the biggest mistakes that new protection warriors make and how to avoid them. Mistake number 1. Rage management. Don't let your rage cap out. It might be tempting to sit on rage, just for in case, but that means wasted potential. The trick is to balance out your rage spending between ignore pain and revenge. Protection warriors have some serious upfront damage reduction, and this can lead to mistake number 2. Not using your big defensive when it matters. Shield Wall now has 2 stacks with a 2.5 minute cooldown, so use it often, especially during big pulls or heavy damage phases. Also aim to have 100% uptime on shield block. Quasi's Vigor shows this perfectly. It shows you 2 stacks of shield block, to make you aware when you are sitting on 2 charges. I would recommend to think the same way about Shield Wall. Having 2 charges is huge, and you do not want to hold them for too long, or you are risking to waste a good 40% damage reduction. Mistake number 3. Next, ignore pain. It's very important to use ignore pain whenever you have the rage to smooth out incoming damage. But here's the trick. Know when to pull your rage to ensure that you have ignore pain up for key mechanics. And remember, ignore pain stacks. Layering it up when you need that extra shield can be a lifesaver. Mistake number 4. Relying too heavily on healers. New tanks sometimes lean in too much on their healers, expecting them to cover every incoming hit. Don't be that warrior. Use your toolkit. Shield Wall, Last Stand, Bitter Immunity, even a good old Algari healing potion. Your healers will love you for it. You'll stay alive and actually heal yourself at times where you don't have any defensives left and your healer is out of mana. Mistake number 5. Lastly, damage is threat. The more damage you deal, the more threat you generate. So don't sleep on your offensive cooldowns. Abilities like Avatar aren't just for DPS. They are there to help you with threat generation and survivability. With hero talents like Avatar of the Storm, you got a massive AoE boost. Pop those cooldowns proactively. It keeps the mobs on you and it makes your life a lot easier. So you know your talents, you know your rotation and your opener. You're ready for your first dungeon. Well, if you want to go from a beginner UI to a more advanced UI, I got you covered. I will have all the information underneath my video where you can find the import string for this amazing elf UI profile. The Vigor you see here is available for download on my pastebin, so check that out if you're looking to add it to your setup. And also a quick shout out to Quasi Plater's profiles. Honestly, I can't tank without it. His profiles are amazing and make the world of difference. I'm also working on an UI and keybinding guide. That will be out soon, so keep an eye out if you're looking to optimize your setup. Lastly, I'll be including a few best in slot BIS gear lists. I'll put up a sheet with all these recommendations on screen. You will find all the sources and links for these right below the video. That wraps up our Protection Warrior guide for Season 1 of The War Within. If this guide was helpful, please consider subscribing. My goal is to reach 500 subs, and your support would mean a lot. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.